Now, I think it's true to say that this sort of little ring with a little stone would pass a lot of people by. What do you know about it?
Only that it belongs to my mother-in-law, that's all, and she came by her mother-in-law, which was my late husband's grandmother.
So we're looking at what, around about 1900, that type of period?
Oh, it must be, I should think, yeah.
Because in fact what it is, it's a typical late Victorian type of setting. You've got a gold ring which is gypsy set with a stone. Plain gold, broad trumpet front to it, typically the sort of thing that you would see in around about the late Victorian period. Now the blue stone is in fact a diamond, and that makes it very special indeed. It's a blue diamond. To see a blue diamond of this kind of colour is extremely rare, and in fact perhaps one sees one per year or 2 years. They are that rare. I think a lot of people assume that they come in white, but they also come in lots of fancy colours as well, of which green and blue and pink are probably the rarest colour to find. Because it's a Victorian stone, it means that all the weight of the stone is at the back of the stone. So in fact the weight of the diamond probably weighs about 0.4 of 1. So it's approaching half a carat in size. So what are we going to do with it? How do we assess the price of something like this? Because of course it is a specimen stone. There are so many variables that would apply to something like this. What we would have to do is to take the stone out and send it across to the United States for certification. Because unfortunately it's only in the United States that fancy diamonds like this get a certificate that purchasers have sufficient confidence in. Just to give you a suggestion of exactly how many levels of blue there are: fancy grey blue, fancy intense blue, fancy intense green blue, fancy blue, fancy greyish blue, fancy grey blue, fancy light greyish blue. All these are different subtle nuances on blue. Now, I think that's a smashing colour. I think that's a beautiful depth of colour, and I personally haven't seen an old Victorian stone with that depth of colour. So, looking at a kind of a precedent that's been set, a diamond that was a round, brilliant cut, that is a more modern cut stone, that weighed 1/3 of a carat, 0.32, remembering I'm assessing this at around about 0.4 to 0.45, was sent to the United States for certification. It was subsequently put into a sale in New York, and in 1996 it made, believe it or not, US 42,000.
Good God.
That's 132,000 a carat. Now, it would be very dangerous indeed to sit here and say that that diamond is going to be worth that kind of money. You're going to say to me, well, all right, what is it worth potentially? All I can say is that it ought to be worth, say, between £10,000 and £25,000. Is that a shock?
It's a lot more than I thought, yeah.
I'm sure it is.
Yeah,
I'm sure it is. It's the most extraordinary find, and you know, it's thrilling. One doesn't see these things, so to see one brought in on a roadshow, well, it's fantastic. Very exciting.